The waiter refilled my iced tea for the third time, and I smiled my thanks. "Mom, you sure you don't want wine?" Brandon asked, his hand covering mine across the table. "You love their Pinot Grigio." "I'm driving, honey. Tea is fine." "I could drive you home," he offered. "Pick you up tomorrow for your car." "That's sweet, but I'm fine." Brandon had been especially attentive all evening. It was nice. For the past 2 years, since he'd married Tessa, our relationship had been distant. He was busy with his new wife, his life. I understood. Children grow up, start their own families. But tonight felt like old times. Just the three of us at Casa Bella, our favorite Italian restaurant. Brandon had called me yesterday. "Mom, let's do dinner. I miss you. I want us to spend more time together." It had made me so happy. "So, Mom," Tessa said, her smile bright, "Brandon mentioned you've been thinking about updating your will?" I glanced at Brandon. "I mentioned I should probably review it, yes. It's been 10 years since your father died. Things change." "Have you decided what you want to do?" Tessa pressed. "With the estate, I mean?" Something about her tone felt off, too interested. But I pushed the feeling away. "I haven't decided anything yet." "Why do you ask?" "Just curious," she said smoothly. "Estate planning is important. You want to make sure everything goes where you intend." "Everything will go to Brandon eventually," I said. "He's my only child, though I've been thinking about setting up some charitable trusts." "Charitable trusts?" Brandon interrupted. "Mom, charity is great, but you worked hard for that money. Dad worked hard." "It should stay in the family." "It will, but I'd like to do some good too. Your father and I always talked about giving back." Tessa and Brandon exchanged a look I couldn't quite read. "Of course," Tessa said. "That's very generous. We just want to make sure you're protected, that people don't take advantage of your kindness." "I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs," I said, a little sharper than intended. "Of course you are," Brandon said quickly. "We're just looking out for you." I excused myself to the restroom, feeling oddly unsettled. In the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror. 62 years old. Widow for 10 years. Successful real estate developer. Retired now. Living comfortably on the fortune Richard and I had built together. I'd raised Brandon alone after Richard's heart attack. Given him everything. Paid for his education, his first house, his wedding. I loved my son more than anything. So why did this dinner feel strange? I washed my hands, reapplied lipstick, and headed back to the table. Brandon was standing, phone to his ear, looking concerned. "Mom, I'm so sorry. Work emergency. There's a crisis with the Patterson account. I have to go handle it right now." "Oh, okay. We can all leave." No. Stay. Finish your meal. I already paid the bill. Enjoy your tea and dessert. I'll call you tomorrow." He kissed my cheek quickly. "Love you, Mom." Tessa was already gathering her purse. "So sorry, Diane. You know how demanding his job is." They left before I could respond. I sat back down at the now empty table, feeling oddly abandoned. The waiter brought tiramisu, my favorite, that I hadn't ordered. "Compliments of your son," he said. He ordered it before he left. I looked at the dessert, at my iced tea, still 3/4 full. Something felt wrong. I couldn't explain it. Just wrong. I was reaching for my tea when a man approached my table. "Ma'am, I'm Jerome Williams, head of security here at Casa Bella." He was 50s, African American, with kind eyes and a serious expression. "I need you to come with me. Right now. Don't touch that glass." "I'm sorry?" "Please. It's urgent. Don't drink anything on this table." Something in his voice made me stand. "What's going on?" "I'll explain. Just come with me." He led me through the restaurant to a small security office in the back. 2 monitors showed different camera angles of the dining room. "Sit down, please," Jerome said gently. "I'm going to show you something, and I need you to stay calm. You're scaring me. I'm sorry, but you need to see this." He pulled up footage from about 10 minutes ago. The camera showed my table clearly. I watched myself stand and walk toward the restroom. Then I watched Brandon look around carefully. He pulled something small from his pocket, a vial, maybe 2 inches long. He uncapped it, leaned over my iced tea and poured the contents in, used my straw to stir it, put the vial back in his pocket, sat back like nothing had happened. I watched it 3 times before I could speak. That's my son. That's Brandon." "Yes, ma'am." "He put something in my drink." "Yes, ma'am." "Why would he—" I couldn't finish the sentence. Jerome's expression was pained. "Ma'am, I'm a former homicide detective. I left the force 5 years ago, but I still recognize suspicious behavior. Your son was nervous all evening, kept checking his watch, made sure you kept drinking your tea. And when you left the table, he saw his opportunity." "But why would Brandon want to hurt me?" "I don't know, but we need to call the police, and we need to preserve that glass and the remaining liquid as evidence." Welcome to Viral Revenge Files Stories. Could you please tell us where you're watching from? And if this is your first time visiting this page, kindly subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss out on other stories. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this one ends. The police arrived within 15 minutes. They carefully bagged my iced tea glass, copied the security footage, took my statement. "Mrs. Foster, do you have any idea why your son would want to harm you?" the detective asked. "No, we've had a good relationship. He's my only child." "Does he stand to inherit from you?" The question hit me like a punch. "He's my sole heir. My estate is worth about $15 million. The detective and her partner exchanged looks. "We're going to fast-track analysis of the liquid in your glass," she said. "In the meantime, I need you to not contact your son. Don't let him know we're investigating. Can you do that?" "You think he tried to poison me?" "We don't know yet, but the footage is concerning. Until we know what was in that drink, please be careful. Don't eat or drink anything he gives you. Don't be alone with him." I drove home in a daze, sat in my living room in the dark, trying to process what had happened. My son had put something in my drink. On camera. Undeniably. Why? My phone rang. "Brandon." I almost didn't answer, but the detective's words echoed, "Don't let him know we're investigating." "Hi, honey," I said, my voice shaking. "Hey, Mom. Just wanted to make sure you got home okay. I felt bad leaving you like that." "I'm fine. I finished my tea and dessert." The lie came surprisingly easy. Good, good. Listen, I was thinking, why don't Tessa and I come over this weekend? We could help you go through Dad's old papers, start organizing your estate planning. This weekend? Yeah. No time like the present, right? And Mom, about those charitable trusts you mentioned, maybe we should talk about that. Make sure you're not giving away too much. You need to think about your future, your care if you get sick. My care if I get sick. Let's talk about it this weekend, I said carefully. After we hung up, I called the detective back. He wants to come over this weekend to help me with estate planning. Don't let him in your house, she said immediately. Make an excuse. We should have the lab results by tomorrow. Let's see what we're dealing with before you're alone with him again. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept seeing that footage. My son, looking around nervously, pulling out that vial, pouring it into my tea. My child, the baby I'd carried, the boy I'd raised alone after Richard died, the man I'd supported through college, career struggles, his wedding, had tried to poison me. The next morning, the detective called. "Mrs. Foster, the lab results came back. The substance in your drink was a compound called thallium acetate. It's a poison. Colorless, tasteless, dissolves completely in liquid." My vision blurred. Poison. If you'd consumed it, you would have gotten sick within 48 hours. Symptoms would have looked like the flu at first: nausea, vomiting, stomach pain. Then it would have progressed to organ failure over the next few weeks. Most victims die within a month. Most victims? Thallium poisoning is rare but not unheard of. It used to be used in rat poison until it was banned. Now it's very difficult to obtain legally, which means your son went to considerable effort to get it. I sat down before I fell down. He was trying to kill me. Yes, ma'am, and make it look like natural illness. Thallium poisoning symptoms can mimic various diseases. If a doctor wasn't specifically looking for it, they might never test for it. You'd just be a woman in her 60s who got sick and died. Tragic, but not suspicious. What do? We're building a case. But Mrs. Foster, I need to be honest with you. Attempted murder cases are hard to prove without a confession or more evidence. Your son could claim he thought it was something harmless, that someone else must have put that vial in his pocket, that the video doesn't clearly show what he was doing. But you have the video. The poison in my glass, which a good defense attorney could argue was already in the glass, or that someone else put it there. I'm not saying we can't prosecute. I'm saying it's not a slam dunk. So he might get away with it. Unless we can get more evidence. Or a confession. How? Let him think it worked. If you've ever had to pretend to be poisoned to catch someone trying to kill you, comment with your survival emoji and share how you coped. The detective's plan was simple and terrifying. I would pretend the poison had worked. "We'll stage your illness," Detective Sarah Lopez explained. "You'll start acting sick, nausea, fatigue, confusion, classic thallium poisoning symptoms. Brandon will think his plan is working. And then he'll get confident, might slip up, might say something incriminating. We'll have you wear a wire during his visits. If he confesses, even partially, we have him. And if he doesn't, then we go with what we have and hope a jury convicts on the video evidence and forensics." I thought about the alternative. Doing nothing. Letting Brandon know I knew. Cutting him off. But he tried to murder me. He deserved to face consequences. How do we do this? Over the next week, I played the role of a woman slowly dying from poison. I called Brandon, my voice weak. "Honey, I'm not feeling well. I think I have the flu." "The flu? Did you see a doctor?" "Not yet. It's probably nothing." "Mom, you should get checked out. Want me to take you?" No. I'll be fine." 2 days later, I called again. "Brandon, I'm getting worse. I went to my doctor. They're running tests, but they don't know what's wrong. I'm so tired all the time, I can't keep food down." "Oh no, Mom. That's terrible. Can I come over? Bring you soup?" "That's sweet, but I don't want you to catch anything." "I'll risk it. I'll come this weekend." Detective Lopez set up the wire, a tiny recording device hidden in a necklace I always wore. "He needs to say something specific," she coached me. "If you can get him to talk about how you're sick, about what might have caused it, about your estate, anything that shows consciousness of guilt." Brandon and Tessa arrived Saturday morning. I met them at the door looking genuinely terrible. No makeup, pale, moving slowly. "Mom, you look awful," Brandon said, concern in his voice that seemed almost real. Almost. "I feel awful. The doctors can't figure out what's wrong. They're testing for everything." "What are your symptoms?" Tessa asked. "Nausea, vomiting, exhaustion, numbness in my hands and feet, hair falling out." All real symptoms of thallium poisoning that Detective Lopez had coached me on. That sounds serious, Brandon said. Have they considered... I mean, what if it's something like cancer? They're testing for that. God, Mom, I'm so sorry. How long have you been sick? Started about a week ago. Remember? Right after our dinner at Casabella. I watched his face carefully. Did something flicker in his expression? Guilt? Concern that I was connecting it to the dinner? That's so sudden, he said. We sat in my living room. I played weak, letting them fuss over me. The wire recorded everything. Mom, we need to talk about practical things, Brandon said after a while. If you're really sick, and I hope you're not, but if you are, we need to make sure your affairs are in order. My will is current. Right, but what about power of attorney? If you get too sick to make decisions, someone needs to handle your finances, your medical care. I suppose that would be you. Right. I'm your only family. So maybe we should get that paperwork done now, while you're still competent to sign. Competent to sign. While you're still competent. Brandon, I'm sick, not dying. Of course. I just mean, you never know. Remember, Dad? Healthy one day, dead from a heart attack the next. We should be prepared. Tessa put her hand on my arm. Diane, we're just worried about you. If something happened and you couldn't make decisions, everything would be in legal limbo. Brandon just wants to protect you. Protect me? From the poison he'd fed me. I pretended to consider. I suppose that makes sense. I'll call my attorney Monday. Actually, Tessa said quickly, we know an attorney who specializes in estate planning. Very discreet. He could come here, make it easy for you. You wouldn't have to go anywhere. You've already found an attorney? Just in case, Brandon said. We've been worried about you, Mom, even before you got sick. You're getting older, living alone. We wanted to make sure you were protected. They stayed for 2 hours, every word recorded, every suggestion documented. After they left, I met with Detective Lopez. Did we get anything? I asked. She played back the recording. It's suspicious as hell, but it's not a confession. A defense attorney would say they were just concerned children trying to help their sick mother. So it's not enough. Not yet. We need more. I went to the hospital that night. Part of the plan. Admitted with mysterious illness. The doctors, who knew about the investigation, ran real tests, documented real symptoms I was faking. Brandon and Tessa visited the next day. Mom, thank God you're getting proper care, Brandon said, sitting beside my hospital bed. The doctors still don't know what's wrong, I said weakly. They're talking about organ failure. They say if they can't figure it out soon... I left the sentence unfinished. Brandon gripped my hand. Don't talk like that. You're going to be fine. But Tessa's expression was different. Satisfied. Like things were going according to plan. Diane, while you're here, I know this is terrible timing, but did you get a chance to call that attorney about the power of attorney? Not yet. Why don't we bring him here? You could sign the papers from your hospital bed, just in case. We'd feel so much better knowing Brandon can make decisions if you need him too. If I die, she meant. I'll think about it, I said. That night, alone in my hospital room, Detective Lopez visited. This isn't working, I said. They're too careful. They're not confessing. I know, but we have another option. A risky one. What? We set them up. You sign power of attorney over to Brandon like they want. Give him access to your accounts. See what he does with it. You want me to give my son who tried to murder me control of my money? With full police surveillance, we'll monitor every transaction. If he starts stealing, we add financial fraud to the attempted murder charges, and people who think they're getting away with crimes get careless. He might say something incriminating. And if he just waits for me to die? You're not going to die. After a week of this, we stage your recovery, sudden and unexpected. You get better. The doctors are baffled. You go home. And Brandon thinks the poison didn't work? Exactly. He'll panic. Might try again. Might say something. Might do something that gives us the evidence we need. It was risky. Insane, maybe. But I wanted justice. Okay, let's do it. I signed power of attorney papers 2 days later. Brandon tried to hide his satisfaction, but I saw it. Within 24 hours, he'd transferred $200,000 from my accounts to an offshore account I didn't recognize. We've got him for theft, Detective Lopez said, but keep playing sick. Let's see what else he does. Brandon visited every day, playing the concerned son, all while stealing my money. On day 6, I recovered. The doctors came in looking amazed. Mrs. Foster, your blood work is improving. Dramatically. We don't understand it, but you're getting better. Brandon's face went white. Better? How? We don't know. It's highly unusual. Yesterday, she was in organ failure. Today, her levels are nearly normal. That's wonderful, Brandon stammered, but he looked terrified. I was discharged 2 days later. Brandon helped me into his car for the drive home. I was wearing a wire. This is crazy, Mom, he said as we drove. The doctors have no idea why you got better? They called it a miracle. A miracle? He said it like it tasted bitter. Brandon, while I was sick, I noticed some money missing from my accounts. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. What? $200,000. It was there before I went to the hospital. Now it's gone. Do you know anything about that? Mom, I was managing your finances. I moved some money around for investment purposes. You stole from me. I didn't steal. You gave me power of attorney. I was protecting your assets. By moving them to an offshore account I don't have access to? It's complicated. I can explain. Why did you poison me? Brandon? Silence. He nearly drove off the road. What? At Casabella. You put thallium in my iced tea. The security cameras caught you. I have the footage. The police tested the drink. They know it was poison. He pulled over, hands shaking. Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop lying. I watched you do it. You tried to kill me for my money. I wasn't trying to kill you. I was just trying to make you sick. The words hung in the air. The wire caught everything. Just trying to make me sick? I repeated. Why? Because he was crying now. Because Tessa said if you were sick, really sick, you'd be scared. You'd sign everything over to me. Give me control. We weren't going to kill you. Just make you sick enough to need us. To depend on us. Thallium poisoning kills people, Brandon. We were going to stop. Before it got that far, Tessa said we'd give you small doses, make you sick, then stop once you signed everything over. You'd recover. We'd have control of the estate. Everybody wins. Except I would have died. Thallium is cumulative. There's no antidote. His face crumpled. Tessa said she promised it was safe, that we could control it. Who is Tessa, Brandon? Who did you really marry? I don't understand. Police cars surrounded us, lights flashing. Detective Lopez approached the driver's window. Brandon Foster, you're under arrest for attempted murder, theft, fraud, and conspiracy. Brandon screamed that it was all Tessa's idea, that she'd convinced him, that he never meant for me to actually die. The police arrested Tessa at her office an hour later. The interrogation room recordings showed 2 very different responses. Brandon, crying, confessing, begging, saying he was sorry, that Tessa had manipulated him, that he loved me and never wanted me dead. Tessa, cold, silent, lawyer up immediately. But the investigation into Tessa revealed something that changed everything. Detective Lopez came to my house 3 days after the arrests. Mrs. Foster, we need to talk about who your daughter-in-law really is. She laid out photos, news articles, police reports. Tessa Marlowe, her real name, came from a family of con artists. Her mother, father, and 2 brothers had all been involved in various fraud schemes over 20 years, including 3 inheritance murders that police had never been able to prove. Tessa's mother, Patricia Marlowe, married wealthy men 3 times. Each husband died within 2 years of marriage, mysterious illnesses that looked natural. Patricia inherited everything. Then she'd remarry and do it again. And nobody caught her? Thallium poisoning is very hard to detect unless you're specifically looking for it. And all 3 men were older, had existing health conditions. Their deaths were ruled natural. Did Patricia teach Tessa? We believe the whole family operates together. Patricia finds the targets. Tessa or her brothers make the connection, usually through romance. They marry in, slowly poison the victim, inherit, then move on. How many people have they killed? We can prove 3. We suspect at least 7 more over the past 15 years. My son had married a professional murderer, had been manipulated into attempting matricide by a woman whose family business was killing for inheritances. Brandon is a victim too, I said quietly. Isn't he? In some ways, yes. But Mrs. Foster, he still put poison in your drink. He still stole from you. He still chose to participate. Tessa might have manipulated him, but he made choices. The trial was 6 months later. Brandon pleaded guilty to attempted murder and theft. Got 15 years? Tessa went to trial. Her attorney argued that Brandon was the mastermind, that Tessa was innocent, but the prosecution brought in evidence from the 3 previous cases, showed the pattern, proved Tessa had been grooming Brandon from the moment she met him. She targeted your son specifically, the prosecutor told me during prep, researched your family's wealth, engineered their meeting at a charity gala she knew Brandon would attend. Everything about their relationship was calculated. The jury convicted Tessa on all counts. Life in prison without parole. Patricia Marlowe and the rest of the family were arrested on conspiracy charges related to the previous murders. Jerome Williams, the security guard who saved my life, testified at Tessa's trial. I noticed Mr. Foster acting nervous all evening, he said. Having been a detective, I've learned to trust my instincts. I watched him carefully. When I saw him put something in his mother's drink, I knew I had to intervene. After his testimony, I met him in the courthouse hallway. Thank you, I said. You saved my life. I wish I'd been able to save my mother the same way. Your mother? She was poisoned by someone close to her. Inheritance scheme. I was just a beat cop then. Didn't have the skills to recognize what was happening. She died before anyone realized it wasn't natural. His eyes were wet. I became a detective because of her. Started studying poison cases. When I saw your son that night, I saw what I missed with my mother. I'm so sorry. Don't be. I got to save you. That's something. I hugged him. This stranger who'd cared more about my life than my own son had. The day of Brandon's sentencing, I sat in the courtroom and looked at my child. 35 years old. The baby I'd carried. The boy I'd raised alone after Richard died. The man who'd tried to murder me for money. The judge asked if I wanted to make a statement. I stood. Brandon is my only child. I raised him with love, gave him everything I could, and he repaid me by trying to kill me. Brandon was crying. Mom, I'm so sorry. I know you are, and I believe Tessa manipulated you. I believe you were weak and greedy, and she exploited that. But Brandon, you still made choices. You could have said no. You could have warned me. You could have been the man I raised you to be. I wanted to be. I wanted the money. I wanted to not have to wait for you to die naturally. I'm a terrible person." "Yes, you are." The judge sentenced him to 15 years in federal prison. As they led him away, Brandon looked back at me. "Mom, please, can you forgive me? Please?" I looked at my son, this stranger who'd tried to poison me. "No," I said, "I can't." That night, I sat in my house, the house I'd nearly died in, the house my son had visited while stealing from me and poisoning me, and made decisions. I called my attorney the next morning. "I'm selling everything. The house, the properties, all of it. I'm liquidating my entire estate." "Mrs. Foster, are you sure?" "Completely. I sold it all. Every house Richard and I had bought, every investment, everything except what I needed to live comfortably, $15 million, minus what I kept. I donated it, all of it, to charities helping abuse victims, to organizations fighting elder abuse, to foundations supporting families torn apart by greed. I set up one fund specifically for families affected by inheritance fraud, in Jerome Williams' mother's name. When Jerome heard, he called me. "Mrs. Foster, you didn't have to. Your mother deserved justice. This won't bring her back, but maybe it'll help other families avoid what ours went through." I kept enough money to live comfortably, bought a small condo, started over. Brandon wrote me letters from prison, every month, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, asking if we could rebuild our relationship someday. I never responded. Not out of cruelty, but because I had nothing left to say to him. He'd tried to kill me, not in a moment of passion or self-defense, but slowly, deliberately, with poison, meant to make my death look natural so he could inherit my money. That wasn't something I could forgive. That wasn't something that could be repaired. 1 year after the trial, I was at the grocery store when I ran into Tessa's defense attorney. "Mrs. Foster," he said uncomfortably, "I want you to know, I was just doing my job. I didn't believe Tessa was innocent. I know. Everyone deserves legal representation. She's appealing the conviction, claiming ineffective counsel." He smiled bitterly, blaming me for her conviction instead of, being a serial murderer. "Will the appeal succeed?" "No. The evidence was overwhelming." "She'll die in prison." "Good." He looked at me carefully. "You're different than you were a year ago. I died and came back to life. That changes a person. Your son destroyed himself trying to destroy you." "Yes. And I'm still here. That's revenge enough." I left him standing there and went home to my small condo, my simple life, my peace. I'd lost my son. Not to death, but to greed and prison and choices he'd made. I'd lost my trust in family, in the idea that blood relations meant automatic love or loyalty. But I'd gained something too. The knowledge that I was stronger than I'd known, that I could survive betrayal by my own child, that I could choose myself over maternal love, when maternal love meant letting my murderer go free. 2 years after Brandon's conviction, Jerome Williams and I had coffee. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Surviving." "You?" "Same. I left restaurant security, joined a private investigation firm that specializes in elder abuse and inheritance fraud cases." "Because of what happened?" "Because of what happened to both our mothers. Yours survived, mine didn't, but both were targeted by people who should have protected them." "I'm glad you're fighting back." "You too. That foundation you set up, it's helped 12 families already. 12 families who might have lost their mothers or fathers to inheritance schemes. It doesn't bring your mother back. No, but it gives her death meaning. That's something." We sat in comfortable silence, two people bound by the worst kind of betrayal, the kind that comes from inside the family. "Do you ever talk to Brandon?" Jerome asked. "No." "Does he still write?" Every month. I don't open the letters anymore. Why not? Because I don't want to forgive him, and his letters are designed to make me feel guilty for not forgiving him. I'm done feeling guilty for surviving. Jerome nodded. Good. You don't owe him forgiveness just because he's your son. Everyone says I should forgive him, that he's family, that holding anger hurts me more than him. Everyone is wrong. Some things don't deserve forgiveness. I looked at this man who understood, who'd lost his mother to the same kind of evil that had tried to take me. Do you ever forgive the person who killed your mother? No, and I never will. She died afraid and in pain because someone she trusted poisoned her for money. That's not forgivable. It's just true. That night, I threw away all of Brandon's unopened letters. Hundreds of them accumulated over 2 years. I didn't read them, didn't agonize over the decision, just threw them in the garbage and took the bag to the dumpster. Then I went inside, made tea, and sat on my balcony watching the sunset. My son had tried to kill me. I'd survived. I'd gotten justice. I'd taken away the money he'd wanted so badly that he'd poisoned me for it. That was my revenge. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, not healing, just survival. And the absolute certainty that Brandon Foster would spend 15 years in prison knowing his mother was alive, was well, and wanted nothing to do with him. Not because I was cruel, but because some betrayals are permanent, and attempted matricide is one of them. If this story moved you, if you've ever been betrayed by family, if you understand that some things can't be forgiven, leave a comment below. Share your thoughts on family betrayal and the strength it takes to choose yourself over toxic blood relations. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Viral Revenge File Stories and click that notification bell. We have more stories about people who survived the worst betrayals and chose justice over forgiveness. Remember, you don't owe anyone forgiveness just because they're family. Some betrayals are permanent, and choosing to survive, to thrive, without the people who tried to destroy you is the ultimate revenge. I'll see you in the next story.